Okay. So, again, good morning, good evening, and so since this is stand-up session, we would like we're working on week six project until now. So we might have reached some sort of task or tasks and challenge or something. So I would like to hear your stand-up, your progress. How are you guys doing? How is the project? And how are you dealing with the challenge and other things? So who would like to start first? Who would love to start their stand up first? Uh, Mike. He said, "Hey guys, finished task one today. Hoping to start task two today by setting up embedding models in ChromaDB. Hopefully, we'll go to according to the plan." Thank you for sharing, Mike. So, I guess yeah, it would go. I hope it would go as your plan. So yeah, so it seems like embedding and other concepts. I guess you've done embeddings and tokenization and things like that on the previous challenge. Now, maybe using vector database and searching for the similarities. That would be that would be the one of the new things that you're going to cover in this week. Thank you, Mike, for sharing. Done ill. I'm working on task one EDA part, and I removed records with empty consumers, compliant narratives, and compliant narrative fields. Okay, the issue I encountered is that I could not find the product name buy now pay later. Is it listed under a different name? Okay, Daniel, based on my understanding. Okay, thank you for sharing us your stand up first. So, based on my understanding, buy now pay later is not there, I guess, right? It's not part of the data. Maybe the data is large to pin. So, yeah, the five under the five columns, the credit card, personal loan, and other things are mentioned. But so, what I don't know, maybe people who have started to do some solutions, you can share us what type of solution that you've got, or like what is your opinion on this. But I guess so. There are many narratives that include the buy now pay later information. Like they have mentioned, you can just see if there are. Lots of the narratives contains this, so we can I'm hoping like we can take those narratives as since like the compliance are put it on closest thing, I guess maybe credit card and the personal loan just they put it down since buy now pay later and ስላላገኙ they just put their compliance in one of the other options, I guess. So we can just find buy now pay later የሚል አይነት ኦፕሽን ያሉባቸውን ናሬቲቮች and like uh, we can just class them or ደግሞ we can categorize them as the new BNPL ብለን ማለት ነው. Like that is my recommendation. Again, like maybe what other options do you guys see ወይ ደግሞ what other measurements that you've taken? If there is anything like that, you can share us. Sam right, just started task 2. I took consumer loan as BNPL. Okay, relatively የሚመሳሰል አይነት ኦፕሽን ስለሆነ yeah, exactly. Okay. Personal loan መውሰድ it might make sense, but my point is still ግን my point ሳይሆን like maybe ግን still there are some maybe since you guys are more familiar with the data አሁን ከቤንፔል ያላቸው ቤንፔል ኢንፎርሜሽን ያላቸው ናሬቲቮች but narratives they're not under consumer loan የሉ. So like consumer loan ውጪ ራሱ ሆነው if they have some information including the buy now pay later concept, they might not be, I mean they might be, they should be considered as buy now pay later option, ግን ደግሞ you cannot find them እንትን ላይ ካልሆኑ consumer loan ላይ ካልሆኑ, if you get my point. Sam right. Also Michael like he took that measurement, so the question goes for Mike too. Do you understand my question, መጀመሪያ? Sam right and Mike, do you understand the question? Okay. Then we can proceed. Uh, Another person who would like to share us their stand-up. So who like should we also handle those as being failed? So my assumption is like I guess የእናንተም consumer loan. So consumer loan as being failed consider ማድረጋችን it is it might be a right approach ግን እኔ I would have expected being fail የሚባል አዲስ ኮለም ኤክስፔክት እያደረግን ከሆነ ሌላ ቦታ being ፌሎች ሜጀር ተደርገው ከሆነ ሜንሽን ተደርገው ከሆነ I mean they would be ካቴጎራይዝ ሳይደረጉ ይቀራሉ ማለት ነው እንደ being fail just we will just some data ነው እንጂ um, yeah maybe it is going to be somehow difficult to collect the being fail ያሉበትን compliantos from everywhere not to categorize them that is so um, what you have done is good. It might be another approach, yeah. Anyone who would like to go next? So I can also call names. Maybe Bisrat. Bisrat, can you speak? If not, also you can just write. Bisrat, can you speak or write? And also Ermias Sindale? No, I can't. So yeah, you can just share out your stand up here. Ermias, can you speak or can you share us your stand up? If not, also you can write. Tashagar Armasu, you can also can you speak or maybe can you write? Nabil Muhammad.
So mostly I've been just working on really understanding reg, and also so the output is actually very strong. So one thing that happens a lot with reg is the accuracy isn't necessarily always the best, and the latency can be a little bit high. So I was thinking about how I can be using more domain specific embeddings, and then after that, thinking about having a bit of more quicker stores for my vector database, and also having, what do you call it, picking, and also having playing around with a little bit of top K values and some re-rankers, just to make sure that the retrieval part of RAG is a little bit more robust before I started working on my project.
So yeah, I guess that is kind of a suggestion. I mean, an update of what you've been working on. So
Yeah, so that's what I've been working on mostly. It's been mostly just doing a little bit of learning before I started.
yeah, it's I appreciate that. So maybe you can, if you are trying to use some domain specific vector database and embedders. So maybe if based on your research, if there are some databases that you think or that you have got and that you believe that they are somehow related with this challenge, you can just mention them. Both the database
Right,
and the embedders.
right, right now I was thinking about using obviously Finbird because it's more financially related. And in terms of stores, I've been looking at a few other ones like Feist, Pinecone, Weaviate, for storing my vector database. But I'm likely just going to be starting on actually playing around with the project today, and I'll see where I go from there. But I wanted to do a little bit of learning before I started.
Yeah. Okay. I guess it's a nice approach since it is also going to be interesting. So also, yeah, we can increase like this information, like the vector database will judge the speed, the chunking, the tokenization in the model that we're going to use for the embedding is going to uh, have an impact on the accuracy of the accuracy of the results that we're going to have, and also at the end of the day,
Definitely so.
yeah, at the end of the day, we can just evaluate our results using different type of RAG evaluations or evaluators. So yeah, that's a good thing to do some research before starting. Good luck, Nabi, and thank you for
Yeah,
sharing.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Bushra Taile, to finish task one and start to do task two. Very nice. Maybe there's something that you want to share based on your journey, then you can share us. Mm, Ermias, sorry, I can't speak, but I'm just working on the EDA part. Also, maybe Ermias said he's working on EDA, and I guess there's also another person who is working on EDA. So probably most of you have done that part. So if there's what type of knowledge or what type of reflection that do you have based on the EDAs that you were doing EDA before this, and also now you're doing specific EDA on I mean EDA on this specific project, which is related with drug and which is another type of data or which is slightly different type of EDA also. So if you have some reflection on the EDA that you were working this week, I would really be glad to hear. So what type of, since maybe there might be people who haven't started the EDA, so what part do you think that we need to focus, like what type of cleaning, if it is cleaning, what type of cleaning you guys were doing, and based on the rock, what do you think that the exact or the correct measurement or the correct cleaning and other type of principle that you've used in order to uh, like that you believe that will gain us a good result on the model? Okay, I guess Nabil had raised first, I guess. Nabil, you can go. And then
I
Gabita.
just wanted I they didn't really do it for this one yet, but one thing I noticed in the last challenge was that sometimes you think there are things you don't think are really that relevant, which tend to be more relevant. So even if there's a small discrepancy, it's better to really investigate what's going on. In the last challenge, you really had the account ID, customer ID, and subscription ID. You would expect it to be based on the definitions. One would be more than the customer would be the most, then customer would be the least, then maybe you'd have a little bit, second most would be the account, and then the very most would be the subscription ID, with the idea being that there could be a customer could have more than one account and even more than one subscription. But when you looked at it, you notice, if you did deeper investigation, what you notice is some accounts were actually shared accounts through the data, and it's not there's nothing in the description that tells you about that.
Mhm.
There's nothing really in the data upfront that tells you about that, but when you look at the mappings, that becomes very relevant quickly. So sometimes when things seem to be a little bit off with the data, like certain things missing in a very weird way or certain weird distribution patterns, it's a very good idea to investigate it because there might be some very strong business implications. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, okay. That is really a great insight. So, one of the things, like one of the different things that we also mentioned lastly is while we are doing some ideas for for the projects that we were previously doing, um, we just do normal days, right? We just try to explore all the data that might not be domain specific, that might not be related with the projects and with the tasks that we were given. So yeah, we can just call them, the concept of outlier is just seeing or outlining a problem on on the data on numerical values and things. This is, I will call it like an outlier on the idea. So you will just get something that is not expected or that is not like agreeable in the middle. So like, yeah, it
Um,
is.
it
You can
wasn't
call.
even an outlier. It wasn't even an outlier in terms of the data. It's just that the pattern that you would expect would not be make would didn't really make sense in line with the business logic. So that's what kind of caused then further investigation. It's just that
Yes.
something was a little bit off. You know, it wasn't a numeric outlier or a statistical outlier. It was just an inconsistency.
Yeah, exactly. What I was trying to say is like we outliers for numerical values and for other like for the unexpected data value. So I would just call this one an outlier on the idea or an outlier on the expectation. It is just a way of saying, but I get your point. I guess everyone also reached your point. So a good insight to be shared. So mostly on the second EDA or on the EDA on applied EDA actually. So when we say applied EDA, we would just focus on directly on the Gabriel. I guess I saw you maybe like just let me just try to finish my point and you'll continue. So yeah, on the applied EDA, we have seen that we need to be more focused on the challenge or what specific thing that we are expected to do. And so our EDA will be directly related to that. That is what we call applied EDA. But normally while doing EDAs, we need to explore all the data and all the patterns and all the distributions. Thank you, Nabil, for sharing. Gabriel, sorry for making you wait. You can go. Gabriel, this way. Gabriel, was that by mistake or?
Okay, okay. Thank you. Actually, I try to complete the first three tasks. The first one, the EDA.
Mhm.
The EDA pre-processing process is actually based on the requirement. What I get is first, I try to do the compliance CSV. Then I get the result. After that, the second task is in uh, uh, showing the number of records in column and sample row. Then I do that. After that, distribution of compliance by product and by customer by narrative links analysis. So in that section, most of the data are compliance without narrative. The narrative section is not available. Uh, Most one third one
I'm
third of
sorry, in which part? Like you were mentioning one specific part. Which part was that?
Mhm.
Which part was that? On the like you were mentioning all the specific parts individually. So which part were you mentioning?
Which part of the data is without
No, no,
narrative?
sorry, አይደለም. On the data side, on the EDA, you're doing task one, and you said I was doing
No, I
this.
mean, yeah, yeah. All of these things are task one, but I mean the section. Let
Mhm.
me.
Gabriel, are you there? So I guess you were mentioning the on the filter the data set to meet the project's requirement part. Remove any records with empty. Uh, remove any records with empty consumer compliance narrative, right? Am I right? Gabriel, can you hear me? I'm sorry I was out because of my network. I guess I'm back.
ሶሪ
Yeah,
ሶሪ ሶሪ ያው እዛ ልጅ እያለቀሰችብኝ ስለነበረ ነው። ሄሎ
hello.
ይሰማል?
I can hear you. ይሰማል ይሰማል።
No.
So I guess Neil,
ምንድን ነው ሴክሽን ኦኬ ታስክ ዋን ታስክ ቱ አልኩኝ መሰለኝ አይ ቲንክ ግን ይሄኛው መጀመሪያ ኢዲኤው ታስክ ላይ ቤዝድ ኦን ኮምፕላያንስ ናሬቲቭ ኮምፕላያንስ ዊዝ እና ዊዛውት ናሬቲቭ ስፔሲፋይ አልኩኝ እሱ ላይ አብዛኞቹ ኦልሞስት ወደ 7 ሚሊዮን የሚደርሰው ዳታ ዊዛውት ናሬቲቭ ነው ኖት አቬሌብል ነው የሚለው ዳት ሴክሽን ወደ 3 ሚሊዮን ደግሞ የሚጠጋው ኮምፕላያንስ ዊዝ ናሬቲቭ ያላቸው ናቸው ከዛም በኋላ filter data set for project requirements based on the products that have credit card, personal loan, buy now, pay later, saving account, and main transfer. But for this section, for buy now and pay later, actually from all of those data, only 6 rows or 6 records have exactly buy now, pay later. But this is not affect the question that I think I see some questions related to buy now pay later. So after that, cleaning text narrative based on the customer compliance narrative, cleaning the data by removing not available and some other empty lists. Then after that, save the clean data and the filter data set under the filtered compliance CSV and go to the task 2. All of the task 1 is in here. After cleaning and saving the filter data set, the second task is the chunking, embedding, and what we call after
vector
chunking, vector saving.
vector.
So for chunking, there is the library called LangChain text splitter. From that library, I import the recursive character text splitter and use that for chunking. So for chunking process, I set the parameters, chunk size, chunk overlap, and other things. Also for the model, embedding model and vector store directory, I did that, and I also put the batch size for the local CPU. After that, I loaded the clean data set that I mentioned earlier. The clean data set or the filtered data set is saved under the filtered compliant CSV. So I loaded this data, and the next process is changing it using the recursive character text splitter. Then after changing, I embedded in the batches using the sentence transformer model for the embedding. After that, after embedding, I try to store or save the under the vector store directory. All of this is done, and before that, for vector store, I used ChromeDB batch insertion rather than the FIAS because of I searched things related to this ChromeDB and the FIAS. This ChromeDB is easy for the integration, and there is predefined things. So I select this one. Also, for the embedding model, there is a much faster model rather than others called Paraphrase Mini LM L3 version 2. So I used that and I completed task 2. But I have a question at this section. This process works fine and it stores the vector store, but I can't access the dataset, the real dataset like other Postgres dataset. If we log in and see, we can the tables, the fields, all the rows, But in this section, it successfully saved or stored the dataset under the vector store directory, but I can't access. Also, I try to search, but I think it's not possible to access. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess you were expecting to see after like storing the data on any type of the database you're storing, you were trying to, that is not possible. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Then
So,
after this, the third task that is called RAG, the retrieve augmented generation generative. That is the
Mm.
third task. And for doing this, we need the already stored vector stored directory
Yes.
uh, and also the embedding model. And in this case, they ask us to use the topic retrieved chunks, k is equals to 5. So I used that and I mentioned and put the prompt template like your financial analysis assistance for credit trust and other things, the question, the answer, and the context. So after that, load the embedded model. We already embed the model and the vector store. So we use that for this process, and we then generate. There is so many options, but for this generator, I use the Hugging Face pipeline, locally LMM. Uh, OpenAI we can choose, but in my case, I use the Hugging Face pipeline, locally LLM. Then I define the function that generates the answer from our question. Then finally,
What is
I
the function? Maybe if I can interrupt. I'm sorry. Uh,
okay. The
what
function
maybe?
is that takes the prompt as a string and
Ah,
from
okay.
the
First programmer function. I get it. Okay.
yeah the programmer function. Yeah.
Okay.
And then finally, I set an example or sample questions and I try to test it. It works fine. This is all about task one up to task three.
Yeah. So it was really detailed stand up, and yeah. So like you have completed until task three. That means.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, very nice, Gabriel. That was really detailed and valuable. So maybe if you would, I would like you to share if there was something that what was the very challenging part, or maybe something that created confusion. If there was something like that, maybe since Daniel and also Mike and Samrait had also gave answer on this, but some question where one of the questions that were being mentioned was the buy one pay later part. That is not
Mm.
located there, and I guess you've just said I found almost six data that looks like that. So what?
No, exactly that is having uh, exactly that word by now, pay
So
later.
you've just tried to find that type of data, but they were not there. They were not existing. So you've
Yeah,
constructed another data, another future.
yeah.
So maybe like I guess you guys need to. So Daniel and Sam, right? I mean, and Mike. I mean, Mike and Sam, right? I just tried to took another column, which is the loan future for the buy now pay later part. So maybe you guys can just talk about it and choose which one was the best option to follow. And if there's another thing that you faced as a problem, as a challenge, or something insightful that you can share, so you can just share it too.
Okay, maybe as a challenge, task two, selecting the fast embedding model is as a challenge. I tried to models before going forward with the paraphrase mini LM. I tried another model, but it's very slow. It takes so much time. So after that, after some research, this one is much faster. So as a challenge, this one, and also for speeding up the embedding model and storing the vector store directory, the batch size also affects when we if we use the CPU, changing or maybe using the large batch size is better because in one loop or one uh, embedding size, if the batch size is large, it takes the time and the speed is much faster. So this one is as a challenge. I try to see.
Okay, thank you, Gabriel, for sharing us. It
Okay.
was detailed. Thank you. So maybe if there's another person who want to share their stand up, who haven't shared yet, maybe. Belleta, you can go. If you can speak, you can speak. If you can't, you can just write. Okay, Belleta, I did task one. Okay. Good, thank you. Dagi just started. Dagi said I just started task one and I was just referring projects and doing research. Okay, very nice. Yeah, doing research and understanding the project is one of the main parts of this project since it is interesting. It would be interesting, I'm sure about that. So yeah. I guess we can end the session here. Thank you everyone for being here. If there is some question and anything, try to do the projects and we will, you can just reach out on Slack, and also we will just have a Q&A session on Monday, I guess, since most of you will just be finishing most of the parts. It will be an interactive session, the Q&A session of Monday. It would be interactive, I believe that, because of the project and because of the things that we can accomplish until then. So thank you for being here, everyone. Bye, and thank you. I mean, good luck.